Alright, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa man da'a bi da'watihi ila yawmiddin. Amma ba'd. So brothers and sisters, welcome to this seerah class. I believe we have had quite a few sessions in the past few weeks, and most of them have been delivered by Brother Shuaib. Am I right? Oh no. Okay, fair enough. So yeah, alright. But then again, inshallah, in this session today, we shall be focusing on the treaties during the seerah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And as we all know, I think there are several treaties out there. We can read most of them. But then in this session, we shall be focusing on two main treaties during the time of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The first one, which I'll be discussing, is the treaty of, the Medinan constitution itself. All right, which also includes the covenants and the treaties between the Prophet Muhammad and the Jews in Medina at the time. All right, and my friend Fakhruddin here will touch on the Treaty of Hudaybiyyah, I think, which is like a big turning point in the seerah of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. From when I think at that point, I think Islam starts to spread around the Jazirah of Arab, around the land of Arab, quite miraculously, to be honest. I don't think any other ideology or any other religion has actually achieved that sort of achievement besides Islam, and Prophet Muhammad did that quite well, alhamdulillah. Alright, so this is my first time giving a seerah class, so bear with me, we shall see what I have come up with. Alright, so just before we start, I don't think we have touched anything on the hijrah. I think, have we started anything on the hijrah of Prophet Muhammad in every lessons? Just a bit. So I think it's good for us to refresh and give a bit of a background on what really happened. All right. So before the hijrah of Medina, hijrah to Medina by Prophet Muhammad and his companions, what really happened, and from then on we shall see what really brought us into the establishment of the Medinan state. All right. I was discussing with Fakhruddin. We were blaming Shuaib because he gave us like the political topics to Malaysians. I don't know why, but yeah, we shall see. Right. So this topic is quite academic and I think it's quite a big topic. It's quite difficult for us to find points where we can actually take from or take some practical points. But we shall try. All right. Well, which I believe, seerah, I think when we read seerah, I think it is important for us to actually learn from the seerah itself. It's not merely just an academic topic where you just do research on it, read a lot of books, plenty of books, and then just bye-bye seerah. No. All right. I think it's good for us to keep on reading the seerah and try to extract lessons. All right. I think this is what important. All right. And then just before we start, one of my favorite books in seerah, it's by Sir Tariq Ramadan. It's not Sir Tariq Ramadan, Professor Tariq Ramadan. One of my favorite seerah book. I think he gives us like quite a holistic view on the seerah and quite new important points as well. Okay then, let's start, shall we? Good. Okay then, all right. Does anybody know exactly when does the hijrah happened? We know that Sayyidina Umar, during his period, he actually started the year of hijrah, meaning the hijrah calendar, in the month of Muharram. But does anybody know when exactly did hijrah happen? In which month in the year of hijrah exactly? And we don't have any chocolates, so if you want to answer your questions, you can answer it sincerely without expecting any chocolates. So yeah, there you go. Does anybody has any clue? Disclaimer: it didn't happen in the month of Muharram. Yes, sister.
What is hijrah?
Sorry?
What is hijrah?
Okay, sorry. Oh, sorry. So yeah, sorry. Oh, sorry. Okay, hijrah is that basically the migration. That's the migration from Mecca, which all the Muslims were at that point. So Prophet Muhammad was born in Mecca, so he made da'wah in Mecca for 13 years, and then he and the fellow Muslims migrated to Medina. All right. But before that, there are two migrations happened before the migration to Medina. The first one was the migration to Abyssinia, and the second was to Ta'if. All right. And then the third one, the biggest hijrah, was the hijrah to Medina. So the migration, sorry. Just ask, all right, if I'm using quite a few jargons or a few Arabic words, just raise up your hand and ask. So does anybody know in what month exactly did the hijrah, the migration to Medina happened? did not happen in the month of Muharram. It started in the month of
Sha'ban?
really?
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I'm asking you.
Anybody has any idea? No, I think it started. I think the whole thing started in the month of Rabiul Awwal, wasn't it? Didn't it? Yeah, or Rabiul Awwal it started, I think, and then it kept on. I think all those things kept on moving on, and then it happened. So a lot of things happened exactly because the Prophet planned it a few months before, and then the night when it happened, Ali stayed there. Then a few of the companions of the Prophet stayed behind in Medina. But then again, it started in the month of Rabiul Awwal. It's not exactly in Muharram. But then again, even before the migration, all right, the Prophet Muhammad had started to give out Islam, to spread Islam to people outside of Mecca. All right, so don't be mistaken. All right, even though before the migration, all right, the Prophet Muhammad did not only make da'wah or made the call to Islam to people inside Mecca itself. All right, so he started to approach people from other tribes outside of Mecca to further the cause of Islam. All right, and I think this happened exactly because in Mecca, even before Islam, Mecca was actually a popular place, a popular destination for Arabs in those areas. So they came to Mecca to do a sort of pilgrimage or Hajj in their own ways. All right, some of them I think they pilgrimage in horrendous ways. I think we don't need to mention that. We don't need to mention that. But then again, so people keep on coming. All right, people keep on coming to Mecca. So there are flocks of people coming in every year, year in and year out. So Prophet Muhammad took this opportunity, all right, to start to approach people. All right, so I think 2 years exactly before the Hijrah, the Prophet Muhammad approached a few Medinans. All right, there are a few people from Medina who went to Mecca, did pilgrimage, and the Prophet approached them, explained Islam to them, and successfully Prophet Muhammad had managed to actually bring them to Islam. All right, so these 6 people, all right, these 6 people, they went back to Medina. So after the pilgrimage, they went back to Medina, and the following year, they brought back 7 people. All right, and then 1 out of those 6 actually left. I don't know what happened exactly. If anybody knows, you can add. So there are 12 people in that year. All right, so these 12 people made the pledge to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and this pledge is called the Pledge of Aqaba. All right, so I think this is the big. I think we can say that this is among the earliest points in which Prophet Muhammad made a contract or made a formal meeting with the people of Medina. And then from this, we can see how it actually finally became a state of Medina, the first state of Islam. Exactly. All right. And among the contents of the pledge, the contents are quite simple. Exactly. Let me read a few of those. One of them is actually quite simple. Exactly. The first one, it says that they pledge to actually to listen and obey in all difficulty and ease, to spend in plenty as well as in scarcity, to enjoin good and forbid evil. All right, and then Prophet said that you will aid me, the Prophet Muhammad, when I come to you, and protect me from anything you protect yourself, your children. So I think this is where Prophet Muhammad started to actually make a formal contact with them. They make sure that the people of Medina are basically loyal to him himself. All right, I think it's basic. At that moment, we can see how Prophet Muhammad and his companions were actually being mocked. A lot of tribulations happened in Mecca at that time. Or propaganda were released by the Quraysh. They started saying the Prophet was soothsayers. He has a political agenda. He's a terrible person. So the people of Mecca, the Muslims in Mecca at that time, were actually in a very difficult situation. So Prophet Muhammad needed this hope, needed this support from people outside of Mecca themselves. All right. So these 12 people, continuing the story, so these 12 people went back to Medina with Mus'ab ibn Umair. All right. So who knows what was so popular? About, I think did you touch about Mus'ab ibn Umair in your lesson? No. So yeah, good. So yeah, what was so popular about? Okay. So what was so popular about Mus'ab ibn Umair?
Came from a very wealthy background.
Yeah. What else? There's another point I think in one of the Sirah books mentioned about Mus'ab ibn Umair.
Teenager.
Sorry?
Teenager.
Teenager, yes.
Very young.
Very young, yes, of course.
No problem.
He was thrown out of his home.
Yeah, thrown his home. Yeah, finally. Yeah, but yeah, so yeah, those are the things. So basically, he was a good-looking person. He wore the best clothes with the best perfume. That was the words from the Kitab of Sirah. All right, so he was like the best person. If you see like a handsome young man walking around about in the campus, so you can imagine that is Mus'ab bin Umair. All right, he's a good-looking man. All right, he joined Islam, and then he went back with the 12 people who initially became Muslims to Medina. He followed them to Medina, and what did Mus'ab bin Umair did? He went from house to house, all right, trying to explain Islam to them. All right, and after 1 year, guess how many people came back to Mecca and made the second Aqaba pledge? Who knows how many people exactly? No, you don't need to. Sure, come on, sure. You don't have to answer. Anybody else? After 1 year, the effort of Mus'ab ibn Umair and the 12 people, 12 initially, the first Muslims of Medina, we can say these 12 people are. What exactly? How many people? From 12 turned into? Finally, sure. Yeah, sure. We can answer. Nobody else.
Slightly different.
Yeah.
Some say 70, and they're including women, it's about 80. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what I've read.
Yeah, that is true. It's like from 70 to 80 people after 1 year. And these people came to Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and made the second Aqaba pledge. All right. So we can see that. Yeah, sorry.
Stress on the point that women also took part.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. There were two women, weren't there?
Huh?
There were two women. There were two women in the second Aqaba pledge. Don't worry about that. That point will be touched by Brother Fakhruddin.
Okay.
How the role of women in society. No worries. We have that. We have that covered. So yeah, alhamdulillah. So exactly, you see that the state of Medina, even the Medina Constitution itself, did not happen overnight. It happened with efforts. It happened with a struggle. And it happened with commitment. All of us, we come from Malaysia. So I think Muslims are very much involved in the political sphere of the country.
That's why I chose you for the topic.
Thank you. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, many of us, we tend to actually make reform and establish a society, to Islam in the society, etc., etc. But then again, not many of us are actually putting in the effort. You see, the Prophet Muhammad, before he came to Medina, he was undergoing all these tribulations, all these hardships. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy at all. Right? All these needs to come with effort. And commitment itself, loyalty, commitment needs to come. Commitment to Islam needs to come first before you can establish Islam in the society. So that's a slight point there. Okay? That's a good point to highlight there. But there you go. So then the hijrah happened. Which I don't think we need to focus much on the stories of Hijrah. There are several points exactly we can highlight from the story of Hijrah, how Abu Bakr and Prophet Muhammad actually traveled several weeks, to be honest. All right, and then they were faced with several things, and then they were helped by Asma, the daughter of Abu Bakr, helped by Abdullah, son of Bakr. And then even non-Muslims even one non-Muslim actually helped Prophet Muhammad to make the hijrah. And Prophet Muhammad promised him the ring of, I can't remember exactly, I think promised him the ring of somebody, ring of, I think the Emperor of Rome or the Emperor of Persia. If you help me, I will promise you this. And then at the end, when Islam finally came to Persia, finally he finally got the ring himself. So that's another story. So a lot of stories to be highlighted from the story of Hijrah. I shall not touch on that. I only have like 20 minutes left, to be honest. I haven't started on the Medina Constitution. There you go. All right. So there again. So Prophet Muhammad came to Medina. He was celebrated. When the Prophet came, he was celebrated. People were in joy when he came. It's like a liberation itself. They were expecting the Prophet Muhammad to come to Medina and bring in peace, bring in a new state, bring in a new form of society in Medina itself. All right, and then it's also important for me to highlight, just before we go into Medina itself, the status quo of Medina. All right, in Medina, before came Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we can divide the society of Medina into three main groups. It is from Rahik al-Makhdum, basically. So it's the simplest division of the people there. The first one are basically the Muslims, or the people who have accepted Islam, and they consisted of the Muhajirin and the Ansar. Oh, sorry, yeah, okay, there you go. So the Muhajirin are the people in Arabic, muhajir means people who migrated, people who migrate. Alright, so muhajirin are the people who came from Mecca and migrated to Medina. So bear in mind as well, even before the Prophet Muhammad migrated to Medina, there are Muslims who have already migrated from Mecca to Medina. Several families have migrated there. So these are the muhajirin, or the people who migrated. And secondly, the Ansar comes from the root word of Arabic nasara, means the helpers. So the Ansar are the people who helped the muhajirin to build a new life in Medina itself. All right, we shall touch that in the last point itself. Okay, so these are the first group, the Muslims themselves. The second group are the non-Muslims, basically, people who have not accepted Islam. All right, there are some polytheists there. There are Christians in Medina itself. So these form the second group. And the third group, which we really want to highlight, are basically the Jews. All right, I think quite controversial, but never mind. So the Jews themselves, they form another group of society in Medina, because they were quite powerful, to be honest, in Medina. They monopolized the market. They were really good in doing business. They're among the rich in Medina. So they're basically, these people are people who are actually influential and hold the power, basically. So this group is quite important to highlight itself. I don't know, even nowadays, like, people keep on saying that how the Jews are really powerful and keep on controlling everything in the world. But that's another story, isn't it? So you can see how that has happened even in the time of the Prophet. So these three group of people needs to be addressed by Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So, and then the Prophet Muhammad came to Medina, and then the first thing that the Prophet Muhammad said when he came to Medina is this line, okay? This one line Prophet Muhammad said. The first line he said, spread salam, feed the hungry, honor the kinship ties that you have made, and then pray while people sleep, and you shall enter paradise with peace. So I think this sends across a very big message, that the Prophet Muhammad came is not as an occupation of Medina. He did not came to bring on, like, to impose a new power on the people. What Prophet Muhammad came to Medina is basically to bring peace to them. When I come here, I want all of you to do what I do, basically, to spread peace, spread salam, feed the hungry. Whatever kinship ties you have, your families, your friends, your contracts, honor those kinships and ties. I'm not here to break those ties. No, I'm not here for that. It's not an occupation. And then Prophet also said that, and then pray while people sleep. I think this is one of the most important aspects of Islam itself. Yeah, we understand that it's compulsory for us to pray 5 times a day, etc., etc. It is good. But then again, I think the most important thing, Islam tells us that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I think the closest we are to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is at night. When everybody else is asleep, we wake up. We don't need to exactly pray. Just wake up. Just make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If anything, if any problems that we have, wake up at night. Spend 5 minutes to make dua. If we have troubles in studying, if you have troubles in passing our exams, having troubles in marriage, for instance, just wake up at night. Because at that moment, I think we can actually feel how close you are to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even among the first few verses of Islam, after Iqra, there's a debate, the second verse, whether or not it's Ya ayyuhal muzammil or Ya ayyuhal mudaththir, meaning all those who's under the, sorry?
Cover themselves.
Yeah, those who cover themselves. Qumil layla illa qalila. Wake up at nights except for the first few. So I think this sends across a quite good message. Even the Prophet, after he received the first revelation, he believed that this was really a very big burden. So the second verse also asked him, wake up at nights. Do prayers or make dua to Allah. Same goes to us. If we are at any point troubled or burdened, wake up at night, make dua. Simple. And this is the message that Prophet Muhammad came to bring across the people of Medina. That was what he brought, exactly. And then lastly, he said that if you do this, you shall enter paradise with peace. Again, this line starts with peace, ends with peace. So Prophet Muhammad came to Medina with peace. Nothing more. Okay, now let us go through the Constitution of Medina. So this is Prezi, what we call the presentation software. Try to promote it for a bit. This is Prezi. It's basically a flash format. So we focus 2 treaties, Medina and the Hudaybiyyah Constitution. I shall be doing the Medina Constitution. And I'll be highlighting 3 main points, basically. Just 3. There are journal articles, books, plenty of debates on the Constitution of Medina. I'm overwhelmed by reading all those things. I didn't read everything. Mark my words, no, I don't have any time. And I'm not a politician, not even a political science student. I'm a medical student, soon to be a slave in the hospital. Yeah, that's what they do, exactly. So I'm just going to share what I believe is the most important points to highlight from the Medina Constitution. All right, so the first thing, I think, oops, my bad, is how the Constitution reflects the comprehensiveness of Islam. I think one of the most popular verses in the Quran, it says that, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu dukhulu fi silmi kaffa. All those who you believe, you need to enter Islam as a whole. Do not leave parts of it behind. All right, and this is a debate Malaysians have been having. See, because there's one party who abandons Islam, the other one bringing Islam, and then boom, they got together, and then they have a terrible fight, etc., etc. So terrible, but it is a good point, exactly, that we want to highlight. The Prophet Muhammad, he realizes exactly that if he stayed in Mecca without establishing Islam in the society, Islam cannot go far. And possibly Islam could not have reached us today. Islam needs to be in ourselves, Islam needs to be in our families, Islam needs to be in our community, Islam needs to be in the state. That's simple. But the implementation is complicated. We know the theory behind it. How do we go about doing this in the UK, for instance? All right, no, even, yeah, so that is a further debate we need to discuss. But then again, we need to believe that the message of Islam encompasses everything, every scope of our lives. All right, I shall be discussing further what did Prophet Muhammad do when he came first in Medina. What did he do? All right, I think the most important thing that when Islam has power in the state, da'wah can be spread easily. There is no hindrance in da'wah. That is one of the most essential points as well. That's why we need to put Islam in every sector in our lives. One of the most, I think one of the reasons why Prophet Muhammad went to war, basically, not exactly war, jihad, because da'wah was hindered. The message of Islam could not be spread. You cannot get the message of Islam across. All right. So I think Prophet Muhammad realized this. He needs to go to Medina, establish a state, all right, then only da'wah can be spread easily. Then only all people in the world can feel the peace of Islam. All right. I think Shoaib, you touched last week how Muslims, when they go to war, there are several rules and regulations they need to actually look out for. You touched that. Okay. So basically, when you go to war, you can't even kill trees. All right. If you found Christians and if you find Buddhists, Hindus, it doesn't matter. If you find people who are actually in their place of worship, you cannot touch them. All right. And if you find a dead body, do not touch that dead body. You cannot mutilate a dead body. Respect that. Bury them. So Islam Prophet Muhammad wanted this message across. At that point, during that time, people kept on going to war, for instance, and then Islam came, bringing this message, even in war. Cannot do this, cannot do that, cannot kill animals in the war. Why is that relevant, isn't it? It's like, whoa, why? But I think Islam brings this message across. That is why that verse in the Quran I mentioned just now, need to bring Islam not only in our, and then, sorry. Let me finish this. So Islam, I think, even in ourselves, I think, we cannot just bring Islam in our daily prayers, when we are in the mosques. Islam needs to be present in our studies, in our families, in our interaction with people. So that's the simplest form, because Islam gives us regulations, give us guidance on how we actually live about in our lives. Yes, right.
I think a good discussion might be to have is having an Islamic state is the only solution.
Whoa. See, I have expected this. I have expected this.
We already discussed the possibility of this question.
Yeah, so,
I mean, open it up.
Yes, sure, yes.
A question I wanted to ask was, when they went to Medina, these pledges were to effectively establish a political entity. In vague terms.
Yeah.
was this objective an objective from Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, or was he commanded to have this, to establish this political entity as a part of Wahi? Did you find that out in your research?
Well, right, that it part of the revelation for him to go to Medina and establish his state.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, I think I haven't found any.
Sorry for such a tough question.
Yeah, it is really tough. I haven't found any definite verses. But then again, the verse that I mentioned, that Islam needs to be in all spheres of life, because I think at that point, even after the Prophet came, it started verses after verses started to be revealed on the legal system, on the system of zakat. Zakat was prescribed when? I think it was the second year of Hijrah, if I'm not mistaken, or was it fasting?
No, second year.
Second year of Hijrah. So I think Islam needs to come in these spheres for these principles to be practiced among people. And then back to, should we discuss your question back, or?
Yeah, no, just like, I just wanted to add to the point, make sure you open and ask.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, this is just my personal understanding,
Yeah.
is that I don't think we wouldn't have had the different stages of the Prophet's lives for any reason. I think they exist there so that we can encompass all different environments, no matter where we are. Because you have to understand, Islam started in a non-Islamic state.
Yes.
So if you think, there are three main stages, three main phases which the Muslims occurred in. They lived in a completely non-Muslim state, which is the Meccan phase. They lived in a completely Muslim state, which is the Medinan state. But they also lived in a non-Muslim state which tolerated it, and that is the Abyssinian state.
Yeah.
And I think depending on your environment, you have to apply and extrapolate from these two different conditions to live like the Sunnah of the Prophet
Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Because even though you're in an Islamic state in one part of the world, the other part of the world that are living in non-Muslim countries, they're completing that part of the Sunnah. They're always living the Sunnah in different parts. That's my understanding.
Yeah. It's quite a valid point, yeah. Anybody else has any?
Actually, Sheikh Yasir Qadi, he says that it was before our time that we have now, the scholars had established Darul Salam, the land of peace, which is the land of Islam, and Darul Kufr, which is the land of the Kuffar. But basically they made it haram to live in such lands. But now it's not so clear. And actually, to be honest, even in the Muslim lands, one would argue that there is a lot of kufr that takes place.
True. That is very true.
Make its way in, and I think we should be able to live in non-Muslim lands.
In
a completely Islamic way.
That is.
You could say that you're a British citizen.
I think that brings about the question. Because in the Muslim majority country, people can aspire to actually put Islam in the political sphere. But how is it in the UK, in British, for instance? Is it possible for us to put Islam in the political sphere? Is it just do we need to put Islam itself, or the principles, the messages of Islam? So that's a big question. But I think I agree with Shuaib's point. What I believe is that I think da'wah needs to happen. I think that is why Islam comes in all these spheres. That is why basically we need the state. Because da'wah needs to be propagated. We want the message of peace from Islam to go about, to be spread throughout the world. If you can make a state if you need to make a state to do da'wah, do it. If you can do it, if you're not, then make sure da'wah is being delivered to people. Yes.
What I wanted to say was that if you look at the conditions of the Muslims, even after the four caliphs, the general population was on Islam. So that's why Islam, you can see, flourished and prospered. But the problem is not with the state. We do not need a state for dawah, because if you have good character and good, if you follow the full teachings of Islam, then we don't even, if you see the Sahaba, they did not need to do, long, dawah sessions. Rather, people would come on based on what their actions were. So I think before we go on and talk about we need a state, because we have, frankly speaking, we have many Muslim states. But the thing is, none is of action. And that action would come from the people itself.
Yeah.
Because
That is true.
The Quran states that.
Yeah,
your
that is
country
true.
became Muslim because of tradesmen, because of the character of the Arab tradesmen.
Ah, see, Shuaib, that is where you are quite wrong. But I'm not sure you're wrong. But that is why there is a debate going on. So people keep on saying that Islam came to Malaysia because of trade. Would we have ever thought that these Arabs came to Malaysia for dawah and made trade as the ways of gaining money?
Something to say.
Yeah, you can say anything. Yeah.
This trade, like you were talking about,
Yeah.
started thousands of years, even before Islam.
Yeah.
So that means that actually they went to trade, but then because of their character, because of their Islamic
Yeah.
Islam spread to Malaysia and China.
Oh yeah, that is a fair enough point. Yeah, true. But then again, people have studied this history. I'm not sure one of the professors in Malaysia, they have done this studies quite elaborately, because have you ever thought that there's a possibility, even logically, there's a possibility that like there are people out there who are really keen on spreading Islam and doing dawah. We have seen people like going from Malaysia, going to even South America, going to America just on the basis of dawah. There are these kinds of people. There's a possibility that Islam came to Malaysia not necessarily because of trade itself. It came to Malaysia because people came to Malaysia to do da'wah as a priority, and then do trades or business as a mode of.
So
Yeah.
But that's judging an intention that you cannot go put anyone's heart. So.
Yeah, that is why. I mean, it's not the intention that we are judging,
I know,
but the
I'm
mission.
just joking.
Yeah. So you see, even in history, there are. There's only two sides of a coin, isn't it? There's several ways of looking at history itself. So people have debated on this. Whoa, I'm taking your time now, but yeah. So yeah, that's my point basically. Back to Shami's question: do we need an Islamic state? Anybody else wants to answer that question? Yes, Aiman, please enlighten us.
As a fellow Malaysian,
Yeah.
I want to ask you what's your opinion about when there are political parties that want to establish Islam in Malaysia, but was suppressed by our current political parties.
Oh my God.
And
Let's not make this sirah of Malaysia. Let's keep this.
Yeah, open.
what do you think about when they say that Islam we need to build from inside the person rather than the political party that want to establish a government to spread Islam from the top rather than from the bottom? What's your opinion on this?
Well, this is quite an interesting debate. Well, that's the thing though. I think these things are basically ijtihad. When we say ijtihad, are basically like opinions or interpretations of the method of bringing Islam into the world. Some believe that the Prophet Muhammad, he brought, there's another thing about this. The Prophet Muhammad, how did he manage to bring Islam to Medina? What did he start with? He started with a few people. He started with several people, with his companions, with his families, his friends. Started with these people, and from them he started to grow these people, bringing more people. Even in Medina, he started only with 6 people, and then 12, become 70. And these 70 people do dawah. They did dawah to people around Medina, and Islam grew. So there are people who believe that actually Islam is being propagated at this manner, but there are also some who believe that other methods are possible. Yes.
Yeah, I don't know, this is my personal opinion from my current reading, that you see the existence of a state or not a state should not affect the individual.
Yeah.
The thing is, when you're in a state, you have a macro khalifa.
Yeah.
When you don't have a state, you become a micro khalifa.
Yeah.
But the only thing changes is that the law is not in your hands. The ultimate law is not in your hands.
Yeah.
The land's law. So in Platonic studies, he has one of the case studies of the Apology and Kritos. And if you study those two, in the Apology, Plato talks about the individual standing up for righteousness and piety and so on and so forth. But then he has a complete contrary where if you have a state, you're still supposed to respect the laws of the state, and then that's where you develop social contract theories. You know, so I think the idea of a Khalifa exists whether we have an Islamic state or not.
Yeah.
I think the problem with today, and this is just a personal opinion,
Yeah.
the problem today is that we can never actually achieve that. because we have so many factions that have been put into place. If you look at the story of Ali and Muawiyah, those are just two factions, and so many people died. I think if we try to achieve Islamic State, we have so many more factions, and we're going to get as much bloodshed. This is my personal opinion.
Yeah.
So you're saying it's never going to be ever established?
No, until Imam Mahdi comes. I personally believe that it's never going to happen.
Yeah, but then what about hatta yu'tul jizya? Yeah, that needs to be abolished. But in order for it to be abolished, you need to actually have a Khalifa, you need to have an Islamic State. So,
Sorry?
Hatta yu'tul jizya in Surah Tawbah, yeah? You
mean translation? Give everybody translation, yeah.
Hatta yu'tul jizya means that they have to it's basically for the Christians and the Jews, extended to the Sabians and the mushriks, the polytheists as well, by other Sahaba, such as Umar ibn al-Khattab, is basically the tax you have to pay, state tax. It's not very much as a percentage of your income, but it has to be paid. When Isa alayhi salam will come to kill Masih al-Dajjal, he will abolish jizya tax. And basically my argument is, if Shuaib's saying that there is no Islamic state that's going to be established, how is this going to happen?
I think he will. We still have a possibility. I think when he comes down, he'll eliminate possibility. That's what he's going to do.
Possibility.
Because we still have a chance for an Islamic State, there's still a possibility, right? There's the possibility of still applying the jizya.
Yeah.
When he comes in, he's eliminating that possibility in totality. That's my rejection for that argument.
Okay.
Even still, there's a hadith saying that. Has anybody come across the hadith of how there's the Khalifa of the Khulafa al-Rashidin, the rightly guided caliphs, and then comes after that the government that. Yeah, there's a hadith saying that at the end there will be established a Khalifa based ala minhaj al-nubuwah, the language of Arabic said. There will be a Khalifa based on the principles of prophethood will come back again. There's a hadith saying that. I'm not really sure whether it's Sahih, Hasan Sahih, or there are several levels of hadith.
Is that related to the Mujaddids, the revivers?
Yeah, still, but there are some people who have actually, there are groups of people who actually believe that we must strive, we must bring back the Khalifa. But that's a whole new debate, to be honest. I'm trying to get away from that, but never mind. That is, So that is even in Muslim countries, even in Malaysia, we have several beliefs in how to actually bring about Islamic State. In the Arab countries, in the whole world, people have debated. The scholars have actually tried to find a solution. Why are Muslims actually divided? And this is what we're going to touch at the last point of our class tonight. So this is the last point we're going to touch. But basically, there are many scholarly articles, many interpretations, basically, on how to establish Islamic State, whether or not we need to do Islamic State, what are the components, basically. A lot of debates. But then, the first point is basically how Islam actually encompasses all spheres of life. It has guidances, all right? It shows people, if there's a state, this is the way to do it. All right, the poor, how do you feed them? What do you give them? That's zakat. So Islam, the message of Islam is actually to bring peace. Even Allah Ta'ala created as Khalifa, as the people, actually the representative of Allah in this world, to make sure that this peace are actually being spread across in the world. All right, so the first point, two more. So nation building. All right, just two more. We'll see how long does it take exactly. Do we have until 8, do we?
Yeah, don't worry. I don't think there's a problem if we go for it.
Oh, okay.
Just ask people if they want to do so you can.
Yeah, good. I think when the Prophet Muhammad came to Medina, he made a point on basically how are we as a state. Doesn't matter. So at this point, we're not discussing whether or not there's Islamic State or not, but how do we build a nation, a state itself. It is important, basically, in our discussion, even in Malaysia itself, I think the unity among the people of the state is quite important. All right, it's for safety of people, it's for peace, etc., etc. When Prophet Muhammad came, among the first few things that the Prophet did in Medina is firstly establish the ukhuwah, or the brotherhood, between the Muhajir and Ansar. So that is one. All right, we shall touch that later on. Secondly, what did the Prophet do? The Prophet built a mosque. Even before arriving to Medina, the Prophet has built a mosque in Kuba. The Prophet built a mosque. All right. The next thing the Prophet Muhammad did, he asked somebody. He made a meetings. He made a consultation among the companions. How can we call people to prayers? Because in Mecca, nobody has actually called people to prayers. There was no adhan. Allahu Akbar, ashhadu la ilaha illallah. There was no adhan in Mecca. So in Medina, the Prophet Muhammad made a consultation with the companions, asked them, how do we call people to the mosque to do prayers? And there's a story where one companion, not Bilal, had a dream. Oh, it's like some Malcolm X. It's not Malcolm X, sorry. Is it Malcolm X or Martin Luther King? Sorry, Martin Luther King. Sorry. Never mind. So the companion had a dream. He had a dream when he saw somebody actually made the call to adhan in the notes of Allahu Akbar, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, etc. All right. And then when he came to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Ya Prophet, I got a dream. I had a dream where somebody actually called prayers with these words." All right. At that time, the Jews called people to prayers by, and we know how. Yes, by ringing a bell. And then there's another group.
That's for the Christians.
Yeah, that's
A Christian. So how did the Jews? Yeah, I can't remember.
Sorry, not fire. Flutes. They have flutes.
They have flutes. Sorry. Yeah, yes, sister. Yes.
No, I was just saying that huge flute.
Yeah, good. Yeah, so we are in agreement on that. Good.
We have a jama'ah.
Yeah, we are Jama'ah in that. That is good. So and then so the Prophet made sure that we need to actually differentiate ourselves from the Jews and the Christians. And then the next thing the Prophet Muhammad did when he came to Medina, he changed the Qibla. He changed the way of prayers. All right. So before facing the Kaaba or before facing Mecca, Muslims were facing Bayt al-Maqdis in Palestine. All right. So Prophet made a point exactly to actually all Muslims when they pray they must face the Kaaba. So these are basic. I want to summarize. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's very important to add that when we change, we only change in regards to worship acts.
Yeah.
Everything else we say the same. We didn't show human hostility. It was just.
Yeah. I'm going to that. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. So these are the few things that Prophet Muhammad did when he came to Medina. The first thing, he made sure that people are united. So that's ukhuwah, unity. All right. The second thing, when Prophet Muhammad built the mosque, the masjid, he built an institution. A place where people can refer to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this is what a nation need, an institution where people can come back and refer to authorities. The second thing. And then adhan, and making sure that people come to the mosque for prayers in the mosque is another form of unity itself. The people need to make sure that they come together at a regular period of time to make sure they come together in a mosque, meeting up with people, meeting with your neighbors, with other Muslims, with the community, to mingle along. In the time of Mecca, the Prophet Muhammad didn't say people to come to the mosque to pray. No, you can pray at homes. But in Medina, when there's a state, it is good for you to come over together in a mosque to meet up with other people. That's a social component of the state. All right, come to actually see each other. All right, and lastly, the change of Qibla, all right, and making sure that the adhan is different from the Jews is basically, there's a concept in Islam, I need to write but never mind, called tamayyuz. Tamayyuz literally means to differentiate. All right, there are certain things in our characters and personalities that we need to differentiate from other people from other religions. There are the certain principles, but then again, the concept of tamayyuz, differentiation, must not actually hinder us from mingling around with other people. All right, because why did Islam come? Basically, Islam comes to people to spread along the message of peace. All right, so we can't actually give out the message of peace if we act the same as the people who have no religion, who are not the same belief as us. All right, even in the middle of society, all right, in the middle of society which are non-Muslims, for instance, all right, if we act the same as them, we go to bars, we go to pubs, we do all sorts of things, we waste time, we are lazy in our work, so that is not Islam itself. That is not tamayyuz, that's not differentiation. You need to differentiate